So now let's take a look at the arpeggiator that comes with Atom. And we do have a number of sequence presets already in here that we can load as either full presets, or we will get some sequenced sound sources in here as well. But we can very quickly and easily set up arpeggiator patterns on a sound. So I've loaded this synth sound in here. So let's go into our arpeggiator section. And at the moment we don't have an arpeggiator active. So, and this works, the arpeggiator works in the same way as the effects regards. You can have different arpeggiators on each layer, or you can link the two together. So turn on the arpeggiator for our first layer. And let's customize this sound so we can hear the arpeggiator in action a bit more. And should we turn off second layer? So on the arpeggiator itself, we've got our 16 steps, and we can see the volume per step for very dynamic sequences. And we also get transposition here, so we can go from -12 to +24. And anywhere in between. So you could create a pattern in here and just press one note and use the transposition function to create your arpeggiator riff. Or, you can play a chord and the chord notes will be arpeggiated according to one of the 6 options down here. So I'm just going to initialize the arpeggiator and clear the transpositions as well. So we have as played, so whichever note was played first in the chord will play first in the arpeggiator sequence, and second will play second, and so on. Or we have upwards, so we take the lowest note and arpeggiate the 3 notes that I'm playing there upwards. Of course that'll increase depending on the amount of notes that you have in your chord playing. And then you get downwards, starting at the top and working down. Up and down, down and up. Which is pretty cool, for a bit more of an improvised. And we touched on it briefly there, but say if we messing around in here, we start changing lots of volumes, transposition. And we just want to quickly reset the arpeggiator. We can hit initialize, and that resets all the volumes of all the 16 steps. If we hit clear, it then initializes the transposition, but it brings the volumes down. So you can hit clear to wipe out any transposition changes you have set on any of the 16 steps, and then initialize will just reset the levels there. We also have the random control, which again is pretty handy for just sparking some creativity on melodic sequences. It will just randomize all the transpositions and all the levels. Which is pretty nice. And then you have some save and load options over here. So if we like this arpeggiator sequence that we've created, or if we say go ahead and load in one of the sequence presets, and this has quite a nice sequence. but we don't necessarily want to use it with that sound. We can just save that sequence and create a folder. I could create a folder in here, call it sequences. I find it useful to keep all the presets and anything else with the actual installation of the software, so the Kontakt library itself. So I'm going to put that sequences. It sounded like a nice minor sequence. I'm going to just call it nice minor seq and save that. And then let's go and just say load in a key sound. I think that's nice, but I want to add that nice sequence I had on there, turn the arpeggiator on, hit the load button, navigate to my sequence there, load that in. And there we have our sequence. So it's pretty handy in that way that we can either create our own and save them, or dive around some of the sequencer presets and save these for use in other instances. We've also got a few controls down here that we haven't covered yet. Octave, so we can set it to play over. So we reset this here. So +1 octave. So there, I'm playing 3 notes. It will play the 3 notes at the pitch I'm playing at, and then it'll play it an octave up and then go back and forth. Got lots of effects on there, so it's quite hard to hear the arpeggiator sound. I'm playing the sequence over 2 octaves now. Just trying to find a better preset that demonstrates what's happening with the octaves. So something with lots of very fast delays, you can't really hear the notes so much. So, and then we can go minus. So it plays the sequence down 1 octave and down 2 octaves as well. And then we have a gate control. So that affects the length of each step. So for tighter, shorter gates, or extend or shorten the length of each step. And then we get the rate control as well, which, as you watch the light there, it controls the speed at which the sequence plays back. And then we have the link function again. So as we were saying, the link control works in the same way as it does with the effects for the arpeggiator. So we'll just demonstrate how we can operate this. I'll load in a, so we'll load in a synth sound and load up an arpeggiator. So it's not an arpeggiated sound. So on layer 1, we want to set a sequence. We want to. So you can see a layer 1, go to our mix control, is being arpeggiated. Layer 2 is not. So in layer 2, we could just go, let's add another synth sound. So that just plays that chord, but this is going to arpeggiate. So we can get really nice layered sounds that way. You know, one layer is arpeggiated, one layer isn't. Load in a cyber string sound source. And that's really cool. And then let's go ahead and load something else. And then what we can do is, so go back in here, we've got one arpeggiator sequence on our first layer. In layer 2, we could turn on, we can have a different arpeggiator sequence on here. So change the rate. And let's just mute the first layer now. So we've got that arpeggiator sequence playing on our first layer. And so we could have two separate arpeggiators on each individual layer. Or one arpeggiator sequence and one just normal layered, it's not arpeggiator playing a chord or something. And then we take things one step further and think, actually we want to apply the arpeggiator globally to both layers, link the layers together. So now we make changes in here. And they apply to both layers. Because before we hit the link control, we set independent rates. So in order to link the rate together, we just change the rate control and then it links them. And then we can control it globally. So again, it just, the link controls and setting individual arpeggiators for each layer just really makes for great experimentation with sound design and just really functional for creating sounds, layers, textures, just really nice. Okay, next video we'll just start exploring some of the presets and the uses in a little bit more detail, and we just haven't touched on any of the percussion sounds that come with Atom, so we'll explore some of these and just start getting into some more sound design with it really, and looking at how we can use and start mixing some of the sounds together.